Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Sit and Spin with me, your host, Joe Royal. And today on the show, we're going to be talking about the long-awaited return of Third Eye Blind and their new album, Dopamine. It's the band's fifth album overall, and their first since 2009's Ursa Major. Of course, the band came onto the scene back in 1997 with their self-titled debut album, one of my favorite debut albums from anybody of all time. The band is currently comprised of founding member Stephen Jenkins on lead vocals and rhythm guitar. He's also the band's primary songwriter, along with Brad Hargreaves on drums, who's also been there from the start. And they are joined by new guitarist Chris Reed on lead guitar and backing vocals, along with Alex Cavalier on bass, and for the first time ever, a dedicated keyboard player in the band, Alex Kopp. You know, a lot of times, especially with a band like this who's been around for a while and has had some lineup changes, when you first approach the new album, you kind of listen to it with different ears. You kind of hear it from the perspective of all the things that it isn't instead of what it is, and I'm just as guilty as anybody is falling into that trap. So it's really good when you get a new record from a group like this to actually give it a little bit of time to gestate and grow on you a little bit, because then you can start to appreciate the record for what it actually is instead of what it's not. And thankfully, with my super busy work schedule and everything else, I did have a good little chance to check this album out. The album kicks off with the first single, Everything Is Easy, the song you're hearing right now, which is a bouncy little slice of classic Third Eye Blind, with a bit of the Cure influence, especially in the bass and the guitars, and that same influence is also going to pop up a little bit later on the song Back to Zero later in the album. And along with the Cure, when you listen to this record, it's going to become fairly obvious that Stephen Jenkins was listening to a bit of David Bowie while writing this record, as the singer and his songs get name-dropped quite a bit throughout the record, particularly on the song Rites of Passage, which in my opinion is the obvious standout single on the album. In fact, I'm surprised it wasn't the first single, but if it's going to, if there's going to be a next one, that is the tune that is going to be it. And also on the ballad Exiles, Ziggy Stardust gets a name drop on that. And also, one of the album's standout cuts, Get Me Out of Here, which serves as Stephen Jenkins' ode to classic songs like Mott the Hoople's All the Young Dudes, Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, and David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust. Kind of mixes all of those songs together in a brand new, brilliant piece of music. In my opinion, even though it falls about midway through the album, it would have served as the perfect album closer. Not that the album's closer say it isn't a great tune, I just think that Get Me Out of Here would have been a better song to close the album out. But that's just me, I didn't make this record. As with most Third Eye Blind albums, the album is more front-loaded with the upbeat songs, while the second half of the album is a little bit more laid back, and that's cool. I've liked that formula on most of their records. There are also lots of other great Third Eye Blind songs echoed throughout this album, just little bits and pieces of stuff that when you pepper through, just kind of like you go, oh hey, that's kind of like that song. For instance, some of my other favorites on the album, Shipboard Cook and Say It, both bring to mind a bit of Motorcycle Drive-By in the song structure. And the ballad Blade also brings to mind God of Wine off their debut album, as well as Slow Motion on their sophomore record, Blue. And it's a standout record, all in all. Just great songs wherever you go. Very solid album, and much stronger overall than their band's last album, Ursa Major, which had its moments. But if you weren't as keen on that record, definitely want to come back and check out Dopamine, because it's a solid record. If I did have one little quibbling downside with it, it's just that I wish that Chris Reed's guitar work was a bit more upfront in the mix. Unlike past guitarists Kevin Cadigan and Tony Fredinelli, who were very much, their playing and their style was very much a part of the sound of Third Eye Blind, I don't think Chris Reed really gets a chance to shine as often as he could have on this record. He definitely gets a chance to highlight his great playing and other stuff, and he's been the band's guitar player for 5 years. I've seen him live. Last time I saw him play with him, which was 2010, he was a guitar player, and he's a more than capable, solid player. But he doesn't get the chance to shine on this record as much as he could. Maybe it's because he only co-wrote 2 of the songs, or it could be that, as Stephen Jenkins said, he wanted to have this album to be a bit more stripped back in its approach and just be a little bit more simplified, and that's fine. That's okay. I just would have liked that there. And back in 2012, Stephen Jenkins had said that this was probably going to be the band's the next record they were working on at the time, which would be this album, was probably going to be the band's last album as we know it, and they were probably just going to release singles here, there, and the internet. Of course, that was 3 years ago, and he was suffering from a bit of writer's block then, so hopefully that's not the case. Especially as good as this record is, I want to hear more of it from them, but if it is, it's a really nice statement to go out on if it does happen to be their last album proper. But that's it. Third Eye Blind's Dopamine, out now. Check it out. that is all I have for the show this week. Hopefully you are also catching my good friend Scott over at Righteous Vinyl, as well as the guys over at the Riff of the Day. And we will catch you next time on Sit and Spin. Tune in to find out what I have in store for you then. Take it easy. Oh, and one more tidbit. The album will be available on vinyl. It's not currently available on vinyl because, unfortunately, as with a lot of independent releases now, you kind of get shafted and they don't get to get released right away. There's such a glut of albums being made right now that there's often a delay in certain other bands getting their records made. So it will be out later on vinyl. If you want to buy it on vinyl, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, or you're going to have to do like me and buy the CD and then buy the vinyl again later. But it will be available on vinyl. Just keep checking the band for updates. I'm probably going to be a couple months delay for it, but there you go. See you later.